Welcome everybody to the show, Kung Fu for the Streets. I am your host, Sifu Alonzo Robinson. This show is about taking traditional Chinese martial arts to the streets of America. A little information about my martial arts background is I have 17 years in the Southern Chinese Kung Fu system. I have spent the last 11 years studying Choy foot Kung Fu under the instruction of Sifu Neil McRitchie, also under the direction of Grandmaster Doc Fei Wong. I am currently the owner, head instructor of Minneapolis Plum Blossom Martial Arts Center located in the city of Crystal, Minnesota. As your host, I will be translating traditional Choy foot fighting into practical everyday self-defense, a fighting defense system that I call EDF, which stands for Engage, Disorientate, and Finish. The main reason I wanted to do a program of this nature is I wanted to dispel some of the everyday myths that Chinese Kung Fu isn't practical for self-defense on the streets. Thank you. Welcome back to the show, Kung Fu for the Streets. Once again, I'm your host, Sifu Alonzo Robinson. As I explained in my introduction, this program is about is called EDF Self-Defense Training. And what the E stands for is for engagement, the D stands for disorientate or distract, and the F is for finish. So I kind of want to expound on that. The way we deal in my particular school, when we engage an individual, we think of it as a sentence, meaning that you have a beginning, which would be your engagement. You have in the middle, which is your distract or your disorientate, and then we have an ending, which we call finish. And sometimes that ending, like a sentence, is how you start it, how you end it, is important, because it could be a period, an exclamation point, or a question mark. So we want to kind of deal with that a little bit more. When we think of type of engagement, or we think about there are two types of those. The first type we call is a physical type of engagement, and the other one is kind of a visual or non-physical type of engagement. And we'll go for that a little bit more detail later. We also have for the D as to disorientate. That means a strike particular, where you strike, the points on the body that you strike, how hard, how soft you strike that opponent. And then we have the last one, which is called F for finish, which means how do you finish that guy? It's also kind of related to the period. That means, are you going to put this guy down, put your attacker down on the ground? Going to make him stumble a little bit? Are you going to leave him standing? So how you want to end that kind of thing. So that's why when I talk about a sentence, as I'm talking about this EDF martial arts training, that's kind of what I mean. All right? So there's several strikes that we have that are kind of open, closed, light, hard, when a person is attacking us, kind of. So we kind of think about that range a little bit. Now, like I said, once again, I'm going to go to further detail of those, being that this is the first show that we have. So I'm going to do an overview and let you know exactly what I mean. So what I'm going to do is introduce to you my second half, or my assistant, who has been with me for 10 years. So Mark, would you please come in? All right, so when we talk about the engagement process, and I've said before that we talk about the physical, the non-physical, and the visual type of engagement. Now, an example of an engagement that would be kind of a physical type of engagement would be one where my assistant here is going to touch me on the shoulder. That's a type of physical. Also, if we're in an elevator or a really tight space, so we come together, this is also kind of an idea of what a physical type of situation would be. When I talk about non-physical or visual one, that could mean anywhere from where my attacker looks at me at a certain way and I don't look back, okay? That's kind of that. Or if my attacker is looking at me and I'm kind of curled up doing things that make me seem like I am nervous. So these are kind of the non-physical and the more visual type of engagement, okay? So another type of, so when we go to a sort of distraction or disabling type of motion, that may mean me hitting certain points of the body that will cause me to distract my attacker, whether it's a hard or soft strike. So that may mean striking with just the tips of the fingers is good. It may be also a fist is another. Using things like the elbow is another. And that can go in different ranges, different levels, different angles. I mean, side angle, kind of like a horizontal angle. It could also go as a vertical angle, which goes up this way. And also at an angular angle of maybe 90 degrees, where it's coming, or maybe 45 degrees, excuse me, where it's coming down this way, okay? So those are the kind of things we talk about as far as the disorientation of an opponent, of an attacker. Also, that strike could be a nice loose strike. So I want him kind of playing with little fingers around, really loose. Those are all, that's also a form of distraction. Also can be kind of a hard kind of thing where you have his palm. It's also can be used as a way to distract, also disorientate. We're going to talk about what techniques that we would use to finish an opponent. Sometimes finishing an opponent means using the knees. So if you lift his knee up, a knee strike can be used to disable your opponent. Also, another way to disable your opponent to finish him is kind of he can also use the elbow also as a mechanism to finish the opponent or the would-be attacker. Last one I would like to choose is we would push the attacker. So if he slightly pushes me, a push would be to just finish your opponent. When you want to use a type of push situation is when you want to get away from your attacker. Okay, so it's not really to hang around, it's just to kind of get away from. Back to the idea of what do we use for engagement as far as a physical type of engagement. What we want to kind of focus on that is I'm going to have my student here or my assistant here kind of show you kind of a first move we would do in the range of a physical altercation that would allow me to engage and distract at the same time. So I want his first move to be, he's going to do a palm shot like this. So he's going to step out. Good. So what we have here is this is going to grab the guy right. This is engaging the hand right here. This is disorientating the individual or distracting the individual. Okay. So once again, try it from standing position, please. Go again, one more time. All right. So this is the distraction. This is the distraction right here. This is the engaging hand right here. All right. So now we're going to do the knee. Lift the knee up. We're going to lift the knee. It will be kind of a finishing on his way, and then he's going to step down for a push. And that's going to finish the attacker. So we're going to do it one more time. From a basic standing position, he's going to do position one. Remember, so we're going to engage right here, distract right here, or disorientate. He's going to do the knee and the push. Good. So the knee and the push in this instance is going to be the last move, which is the finish. Beginning of your sentence right here. What you want to accomplish, this is going to set the motion, set your technique in motion. Think it's just like a sentence. You got got your subject, got your verb, your adjective, and how you want to finish. Now, in the middle, it's going to do his knee. That's going to be the middle of the sentence. That's the meat and the potatoes of the sentence. Now he's going to push down, how he's going to finish the sentence. Is it going to be a period or question mark or an exclamation point? So when we think about, you can stand up please. So in the finished description, when we think about period, that means usually it's a pretty done deal. It's not going to get up. When we think about the question mark, we think about, did I stun him? Did I hurt him? Did I phase him any? So because that's a question mark. And we don't want to have to leave a question mark at the end of when being attacked by an attacker. We want to know exactly what's going to happen to that guy. All right, so we're going to kind of do this kind of in a physical type of motion. So I'm going to describe to you, or we're going to show you exactly how that move would be with a two-person drill. All right, so once again, this time I'm going to be the defender, and my assistant here is going to be the attacker. Okay, so he's going to attack me with the first position. Oh. So I'm going to block here, step out, focus the first shot right there. Now I want to go for the second. So we did the crap, I forgot what it was. The engagement. I engaged his wrist, his strike, and I did the number two, which is to distract, or to distract him basically, or disorientate with the strike here. Now I'm going to lift the knee up for the finish. Knee comes up to the midsection, and then I'm going to push away that way as the opponent goes in that direction. All right, so we're going to kind of go one more time. So, and I want to focus on certain points that I have hit on his body. So the first punch, he's going to do the first movement. I'm going to block the arm, block the strike. That's going to be that's kind of like my first or second engagement. Now I'm going to hit with the second hand on the shoulder blade, because there's a point in the shoulder where you can disable. That's going to stop and relieve the pressure of the strike and the force that he is throwing that the attacker throws, his first movement. So now that's when I'm going to strike there, and then the collarbone. Now two, I'm going to strike the side right here, lift up with the knee to the abdomen, because right there's a point of the baby ribs right there that we can hit that will cause the person to cause great pain instantly. And then the second is going to be a strike to the carotid artery, and then it's a knee there, and then I'm going to push him out that way. Now when I do the finishing point that way, my weight is going to move in the direction of him. So he's going this way, I'm going to move and to take over his space, push him out, and keep the form so that he goes opposite direction. Now that I would consider kind of a period at that point, because why it would be a period? Because in that situation, I'd probably push him down and run the other way, because I am looking to get away from this from my attacker. Okay. Now, what's also important, I want to have him do it again, is footwork. Footwork is very important in the beginning stages of your sentence, because it's going to determine exactly what you can and where you can go, and how much foundation that you have. If you are in martial arts, you always hear your instructor always talk about foundation is important. Well, also having good footwork is also important. Okay, so I'm going to give an example. So my assistant here is going to have a forward stance, which means kind of a triangle, or we call it a Digima in Choy system. So depending on the angle I have versus where my strike is coming from, if my strike is coming from an angle, a wide strike angle, his weakest point is going to be in what direction? Probably lined up in this direction. See, it's pretty easy to push him over again. So try one more time. So what I'm doing right now is I'm going to go in a 45-degree angle, because that's where my strike is coming from. So if he has straight line with me and I come 45, all I have to do is push 45 slightly and he loses balance. Okay, so I want him to switch stance for me again, but this time I want him to go 45 with his stance. So make it a little bit wider, a little bit wider over here. Good. So if he's focusing on this way, looking this direction here, if my strike comes from this way, block right there, look, because the strike is coming 45, so his stance is 45 as well. Okay, now that's going to allow him, when he does the strike, in the shoulder blade area to stop my momentum. Okay, it's going to stop my momentum from going. Okay, good. So once again, direction and footwork is very important in the first part of this sentence. Okay, so now 2, with the disorientation part, so come back over here, please. So also, when I think about to disorientate, also again, we talked about the shoulder blade is one, the carotid artery right here in the neck is another point. And that meaning when I strike this area right here with a knife edge here, it's going to shut this artery off. It's going to cut the blood supply to the neck. Okay? So that way he is disorientated at that point in time. Or also he can be distracted by this strike. All right? Now, when that happens, that's one strike. Now, he also is getting hit with a knee to the baby ribs. The last part of that sentence is I push to finish him down so that I can get away safely. Okay? So to the next segment that I have called a Q&A section. Karate is a Japanese art. It is also considered a hard style. It means one strike, one blow. Chinese martial arts is considered a soft style. It's also based on animal movements. Chinese martial arts has over 200 different types of styles. Karate has roughly 8 to 9 different types of styles. Now, that does not mean that karate doesn't have any soft styles, because they do. Forms like Aikido. Chinese martial arts also has some hard styles, such as Hung Gar. The difference between distraction and disorientation. When I want to distract my attacker, I want to focus his attention off his primal goal to something else, such as a poke into eye will make him focus on his eyes rather than focus on me. When I want to disorientate my attacker, that means I want to stun him, such as a strike to the throat, where I stop him from his attack. To get more information on EDF training program, you can go to our website, www.mplsplumblossom.net. And on the website, you will find a schedule of when we have our classes. Hope to see you there. In this sequence, the engaging hand is controlling the wrist of the attacker. Strike to the neck designed to disorientate the attacker. A knee strike to the solar plexus or the groin is designed to disorientate the attacker. In the final sequence, a push is being used as a finishing maneuver. We talk about footwork. We talked about earlier the angles. It's going to be important. So I want him to step out at a 45-degree angle. So he's going to step out, and you see how the foot stands back and it's nice and erect. So it is straight, so it is not bent. In 20 foot, we don't have a bend in our leg. All right, so let's try one more time. Go a little slower, step out. Good. All right, one more time. So I'm going to try to get a visual of the footwork of him stepping out. Step out, 45. 1, 2, 3. Good. Notice is that when he steps back, his hand shoots out. So we're going to step back, and this hand shoot. This one. That strike right there. So it's like this. Boom. Go back. All right. So the footwork and the hand technique are in sync. So he's going to step out and shoot one hand up at a 45 degree. Good. One more time. Lift up. 1, 2, go. Good. So this is going to be the strike right here. One more time. We're going to take measures. 1, 2, 3. Good. Try again. Give it a good angle. Ready? Go. Good. And that would be your strike to the shoulder in this particular situation, or the arm. All right. Up. In Jinji, we use just the finger. Like we also use 2 fingers. So if we use 2 fingers, I'm going to show you from this to here, and then turn it. This is how it looks from a side view of 2-finger Jinji. We also have 4-finger Jinji, where fingers are spread apart, thumb is tucked in, and it looks from an angle like that. Okay, this is Jinji, 4th finger, horizontal, and this is how it looks vertically. So you have 4 fingers spread apart. They're not close like this. They're spread apart, so that disperses the energy throughout 4 fingers versus just a normal and 1. This way is tight, not loose, and this way is loose. The Jinji strike should be loose and fast. It should not be stiff like a punch. Okay, so in this strikes the vital areas such as the eye and the throat. Okay. Now those are kind of some of the other vital points, the pressure points, which means there's some that are underneath the arm, but I would suggest with some training of your fingers that you actually use that move. Now, also some of the points that I've talked about we strike is we also talked about the temple, the nose, the throat. We talked about the sternum, which is the middle of the chest. Also the baby ribs, which are down here, which we strike usually with the knee strike. We rarely hit the baby ribs straight on. We do that, but not exactly always with a straight punch. In this situation, knee works better for the streets. We also attack the groin and above the groin also, such as the belly button. Those are also vital areas that we hit to disable or to fend off an attacker. All right? Thank you. So once again, we attacked vital areas that we hit. We hit an attacker, which is the eye, throat, even bottom of the throat, sternum, groin, knee, even at times the toe. When we use the finger strike of the Jinji, we strike the eye, the throat. All right. Thank you for watching this week's episode of Kung Fu for the Streets. Until next time, take care. you.